A sweltering afternoon in the heart of the city. At the base of a 32-story glass tower, a man in a faded orange delivery uniform fumbled with his insulated bag. Sweat soaked the back of his shirt. His old motorbike leaned unevenly against the curb, its left mirror missing, lost at some point. No one knows when. He stepped into the lobby. His eyes scanned the space. The worn-down heels of his shoes left faint, dusty prints on the gleaming marble floor. "Excuse me? I'm here to deliver an order to the 15th floor. Order number B3451, fried rice with egg." The receptionist, a young woman with flat-ironed hair and a perfectly pressed uniform, barely glanced up before frowning. "You can't go up. We don't allow delivery guys to use the elevators." He blinked, caught off guard. "But the customer asked me to deliver it personally." She shrugged, eyes still on her screen. The director on that floor would never order something like that. "Must be a mistake." The delivery man said nothing. His fingers tightened around the strap of his bag. He glanced at the elevator, its steel doors reflecting the weary face of a man he barely recognized. Then, as if to double-check, he unlocked his phone and looked at the screen. The name of the order recipient was clearly displayed. Benjamin Cole, Chief Executive Officer. Benjamin stood still in front of the glass lobby. People hurried in and out, no one paying attention to the delivery man being turned away over a box of fried rice with egg. He stared at his own name printed on the delivery app. A perfect irony. Benjamin Cole, the very founder of this platform, was now being denied entry into his own company's headquarters because of a wrinkled uniform and a non-premium meal. He turned back toward his motorbike. With a light wipe of sweat from his brow, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his personal phone. A new generation iPhone wrapped in a cheap peeling case. He tapped to call. The other end picked up after just 3 rings. "Hello, who is this?" Benjamin lowered his voice, still playing the role of a delivery man. "I have a fried rice order for you. I'm in the lobby, but they won't let me up." There was a pause. Fried rice. A brief sigh. Then the voice shifted the tone, suddenly. "Changing, Ben. Is that you?" "My God, I thought you were still in Italy." Benjamin smiled for the first time all afternoon. "Still in Italy, according to the company report." And with that, he hung up. While the security guard was still caught up with a group of movers behind him, Benjamin moved quickly toward the elevator, still wearing his delivery uniform lunch bag in hand. The doors opened. He stepped inside. No one realized that the man now ascending to the top floor of the nation's largest delivery empire was its very founder. 3 days earlier, Benjamin Cole had left his expensive gray suit behind in a glass wardrobe at the office, trading it for an old orange jacket with a worn company logo. No assistant, no private car, no meeting room, just a smartphone with all contacts wiped clean and a newly created delivery driver account under a fake name. Ben Carter. He started again from zero. His first morning, his first order, 2 peach teas for a college student in a dormitory. Ben got lost for 15 minutes. Google Maps didn't recognize that the campus had recently changed its entrance after the pandemic. The girl took her drinks without a thank you, mumbling, "Why'd it take so long?" He nodded, turned his scooter around and left without a word. The next afternoon, an order came in during a rainstorm. The customer lived on the 12th floor and didn't pick up the phone. The guard insisted Ben wait in the basement. When the recipient finally showed up, a young office worker still drenched from the rain, he looked at Ben. paused for a second, then held out a small pack of tissues. "Here, wipe off. I know how rough it gets in the rain." Ben froze for a moment. Kindness, found in the places he least expected. That evening he sat inside a small eatery for delivery drivers, eating a promotional meal, a plate of chicken rice, a glass of water, and a seat by the phone charging outlet. Around him, casual chatter blended with the constant pinging of new delivery orders. A young driver let out a bitter laugh. "I delivered $300 worth of sushi yesterday. The guy tipped me $5. But the day before, I brought a loaf of bread to an old lady, and she slipped me a homemade snack. Tasted 100 times better." Ben looked up, his gaze growing distant. The world is strange. Value doesn't lie in the price tag. It lives in the heart. Then came the morning of the fourth day. The app pinged a new order. Fried rice with Egg Destination Company. Headquarters, 15th floor. Executive office recipient. Benjamin Cole. Ben stared at the screen, lips curling into a slight grin. Fate, it seemed, had a wicked sense of humor. The elevator let out a soft ding as its doors slid open. Benjamin stepped into the sleek hallway, the same one where countless investors, partners, and CFOs had once left their polished footprints. But this time, no one paid him any attention. No one bowed their head in greeting like they usually did when he walked in, wearing an Armani suit. There were no booming "Good morning, sir," as echoing down the corridor. Just a hesitant glance from a young assistant. Then, she quickly turned away, as if afraid she'd lose points by talking to a delivery guy. Benjamin walked down the hallway. The worn soles of his sneakers made a faint sound against the velvet carpet. The meeting room was brightly lit. Inside, the senior management team was deep in discussion about the 2025 talent strategy, surrounded by imported pastries and sugar-free malt coffee. No one noticed the delivery man standing just 3 meters away. No one realized he was listening and remembering. He stopped at the 15th floor reception desk. This time it wasn't the girl from downstairs, but a new employee, early 20s, hair streaked with highlights, tapping away on a laptop. Benjamin spoke gently. "Hi there. I'm delivering a fried rice order to the executive office." The young man looked up, glanced at the faded orange shirt, then let out a faint chuckle. "That office? Are you sure you've got the right place? Do you even know who's in there?" Ben smiled and nodded calmly. "I do. Very well, in fact." The receptionist still looked doubtful, but eventually picked up the phone. "Hello, executive office. There's a delivery guy here saying he has an order for Mr. Benjamin." A pause. Then came the clear voice from the other end of the line. "Let him in." The entire hallway turned their heads as Benjamin opened the office door. He walked in, still holding the food bag, sweat still dampening his back. Inside the room, the senior assistant stood frozen. "Sir, is it really you?" Benjamin cut her off. "I have a delivery to make, and a few things I'd like to check." He set the bag on the table. The container was still warm. "Let's begin." The 15th floor conference room, nearly the size of a luxury apartment, was bathed in soft ceiling light that glowed against the glass wall overlooking the bustling city below. Cars streamed through the streets like veins. Inside, the faces around the table had suddenly gone stiff with unease. Benjamin Cole, the man everyone believed was still away on business in Italy, now stood at the head of the table, still wearing his sweat-drenched delivery uniform. He gently placed the box of egg-fried rice on the table. No one spoke. Only the soft ticking of the wall clock broke the silence. Ben looked at each person around the table. These were the same people who once gave polished presentations on customer experience and service culture. Then he asked, "Has anyone here ever been turned away because the meal they delivered was too cheap?" No one responded. No one. Has anyone stood in the rain rejected because they weren't wearing a new uniform or because they drove an old scooter? Still silence, Ben turned to the head of human resources, the one who had recently proposed a company-wide competition called the Spirit of Teamwork. This week, I delivered nearly 30 orders. I was denied entry at 5 buildings, refused cash payment for 2 deliveries, and was laughed at by our own staff for delivering fried rice. A department manager cleared his throat. "Sir, perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. Maybe the staff just weren't properly trained." Ben raised his hand to interrupt. "No, this isn't the fault of one person. This is a culture that's rotting from the inside. A culture that worships those in suits and looks down on those in a delivery jacket." He opened the lid of the meal container, letting the warm aroma fill the room. This box of rice, it doesn't even cost $5. But if it's someone's only meal of the day, it's worth more than any steak you've ever ordered. Benjamin's eyes softened, but his voice remained firm. "I used to think that all this company needed was good technology, fast delivery, and impressive growth numbers, but I was wrong." The room stayed frozen in silence. One assistant started to speak, then lowered their head without saying a word. Ben took a half-step back, then said calmly, "I didn't come back to give praise. I came back to clean up." Still in that frozen conference room, Benjamin reached into the pocket of his orange delivery jacket and pulled out a thin stack of papers. Not a contract, not a financial report, but a handwritten note inked in blue pen. He unfolded it and placed it gently on the table. "This is a summary of what I experienced over the past 4 days as an ordinary delivery driver. No authority, no meetings, no name in the system. Just me and the way our system treats the people it considers to be at the very bottom." He looked toward the receptionist from the ground floor, the one who had just been summoned to this emergency meeting for mishandling an internal delivery. "She's not getting fired." The whole room looked up, surprised. "She's being transferred to the Partner Support Division for the next 3 months. To understand who these people are, what they go through, and why they deserve respect." Benjamin then turned toward the large screen at the far end of the room, where the company's quarterly KPI chart was being projected. He spoke slowly, deliberately, each word measured. "Starting today, the company will launch the Fried Rice Fund. For every order under $10, 5 cents will be automatically set aside into this fund. It will be used to support insurance costs for delivery drivers in hardship." A marketing director blurted out, "But Ben, that could impact our profit margins." Ben cut him off this time, his voice colder. "Tell me which profit matters more. A few extra lines on a report, or the trust of hundreds of thousands of people out there, braving heat and rain, to keep this platform alive." He turned to the head of training. "I want 100% of our office staff, including management, to participate in a 48-hour delivery experience. Pick up the orders yourself. Wait out in the rain. To remember, we don't create the service. We only sustain it by treating real people the right way." No one dared meet his eyes at that moment, not out of fear, but out of shame. At last, Benjamin gathered up his handwritten notes and stepped toward the door. I don't need a report on this. I'll be checking in my own way. Might be a box of fried rice. Might be a sticky rice wrap early in the morning. And it might just be me, still in a delivery uniform. That afternoon, Benjamin took off his delivery outfit, folded it carefully, and placed it in a wooden box on his office desk. He didn't need to disguise himself anymore, but the old helmet with its peeling reflective strip he kept, placed it neatly beside a framed photo of his family. As a reminder, he'd been out there, and he would never forget it. Before leaving the office, Ben checked the app one last time. No new orders. And then, a name appeared under recent orders, Mrs. Laverne is 82 years old on the outskirts of the city. Order 1. Chicken soup, low salt. Note delivery. Can be slow as long as it's hot. Benjamin stared at the words for a few seconds, then tapped Accept order. 30 minutes later, he pulled up in front of a small wooden house at the end of a quiet alley. Light rain had just begun to fall. The door opened slowly. An elderly woman with silver hair and soft cotton slippers smiled warmly. "Oh, you're the one who brought the fried rice the other day, aren't you?" Ben froze. She remembered. "Do you know, that fried rice you brought was my only meal that day. I nearly skipped my blood pressure meds because I hadn't eaten." Benjamin didn't know what to say. He simply bowed his head and held out the soup with both hands, as if offering something sacred. She invited him in. They sat together at a small wooden table. Outside, the rain fell in a soft, steady rhythm. Ben looked around. The key of the house was modest, with few belongings, but neat and well kept. On the table, there was an old photo frame. Inside it, a man in a delivery uniform smiled gently, a smile just like hers. "That was my husband. He spent 5 years making deliveries, passed away in an accident on his final run." Ben didn't expect his chest to tighten like that, so, "The soup today is for both of you," he said softly. She smiled, her eyes shimmering with tears. They sat in silence after that. No more words were needed, only the gentle steam rising from the chicken soup, the soft tapping of rain outside, and the quiet presence of something very human, very real, and profoundly beautiful. 3 weeks later, across the internal network of the delivery company, a special announcement appeared. The reverse delivery program mandatory for all senior office staff. No PowerPoint slides. No attendance sheets. Just a single message written by Benjamin Cole himself. "You'll never know how much a meal is worth until you deliver it in the rain to someone shivering from hunger." A short video was also posted to the company's internal social media. No effects, no cinematic lighting. Just a grainy dashcam recording showing a middle-aged man in a delivery jacket standing silently in the lobby of a corporate building holding a box of fried rice, being turned away because he didn't look the part. The clip spread like wildfire, and before long it was shared by staff partners and even investors. No one knew the man in the video was Benjamin. The lighting was poor, the footage was shaky, but everyone knew one thing. Whoever he was, he understood them better than anyone who's ever read a payroll spreadsheet. That evening, Benjamin sat again at the roadside diner. The place meant for delivery drivers was still lit, still offered free Wi-Fi, still gave free rice refills. A young delivery guy recognized him. He started to walk over, about to ask for a photo, but Ben simply shook his head, then pointed to the old helmet still on his head. Just think of me as a colleague like I've always been." The boy smiled and gave a respectful nod. "Yes, sir. A fellow delivery guy." Benjamin sat down at a plastic table and ordered a plate of chicken rice and a can of soda. When the meal arrived, he noticed something scribbled on the lid, written in permanent marker. "For the one who once delivered a meal that saved an old lady's life." Ben chuckled. His eyes shimmered slightly. He didn't say another word. He simply ate silently, slowly, until the very last grain of rice. Final message. In a world obsessed with speed and spreadsheets, sometimes the kindest act lives inside a simple lunchbox delivered at just the right moment by someone you never looked at twice. And if you truly want to change the world, start with how you deliver a meal.